All right, we're in the lecture note on unguaranteed residual value. We've done example one with the guaranteed residual value. And, the fun never ends with leases. So here we are again. But the residual value thing is important. So we have item is returned and either the residual value is guaranteed or the residual value is not guaranteed. Okay, the final case is the transfer of the item to the lessee. In those leases, there is no residual value for the lessor. But dealing with guaranteed and unguaranteed residual values is, a problem in and of itself. So we're reiterating the formula for calculating cost of goods sold and sales revenue in the sales type leases. So you have the cost of goods sold is the cost of the item which would be given and is also the amount of the credit to inventory. You calculate the present value of the unguaranteed residual value and you subtract that out of there. And then my preferred formulation is right here for sales revenue. You take the lease receivable that you would have capitalized, so you would have done the calculation to calculate that lease receivable, and subtract out the same present value of unguaranteed residual value. And FYI, this equals the present value of quoting lease payments as defined by GAAP, which excludes any unguaranteed residual value. But once again, I have found that by and large, this formulation with lease receivable minus present value of unguaranteed residual value is easier because it's a subtraction, not a present value problem. And almost all the time you'll have that number. If you didn't, then you would have to do present value of air quote lease payments. Okay, so the capitalization entry, the lease receivable was given. So we're using the same facts as in lease example one. So if you want to calculate that number, you really got to go to another video because I can't just keep repeating it. And the inventory was 57,000. Now, but we do want to do the cost of goods sold. I'll put a little A note there. A, cost of goods sold equals the cost of the item minus the present value of the residual value, which is 4,000, 10%, 5 periods. Okay, and that's going to equal 54,516. All right, and B, sales revenue. Sales rev equals the lease receivable capitalized 62,548 minus, and let's go back, find that present value of the 4,000 thing. See if we can find it up here. So we did the where are you? Where are you? Oh, here it is. Is that 5,000? Oh, darn it. Oh yeah, the payment is 5,000. So, but we do see the factor here. So let's grab the factor. See if we can get this answer. Whoa. Present value 10%, 5 periods. It's right here, 6209. 62. So I had a different fair value up there, but my bad. But we can use the factor. So it's 62,548 to 4,000 times 0.6209 equals. I'm going to check this one. If you know me, I get these things wrong all the time. 4,000 times 0.6209 is 2483.60, and take that away from 62,548. Keeping my fingers crossed, everybody. 6503. Oh my gosh. What in God's creation did I? Oh, I think I added it. Okay, so I got to start over. 4,000.6209 times is 2484. Okay, I'm just going to write that number down. So this equals 62, going slow so it's nice and tidy, minus 2,484 equals 6,2,548. And I get, oh, 60064. Okay, so there you go. Bada bing, bada boom. All the stars in alignment, dogs and cats sleeping together. Professor Sierra got the right answer. All right. So so this is an example of this is like the big trick with sales type leases. Whenever the item's returned, and I gotta, this is item returned. Okay. We would only mention that it's unguaranteed if it's returned. When the item is unguaranteed, the FASB doesn't allow it to be counted for sales revenue. If they don't allow it to be counted for sales revenue, then you won't match the present value of the residual value to cost of goods sold either. So you end up subtracting the present of the value of the residual value from the inventory cost to get the cost of goods sold, and the present value of the residual and unguaranteed residual value from lease receivable to get sales revenue. So minus 2484 equals this, and 57 minus 2484 equals that. Okay. So if it is an unguaranteed residual value, basically calculate the present value of the unguaranteed residual value, subtract that amount from inventory cost to get cost of goods sold, subtract that amount from lease receivable to get sales revenue. Every other case of sales type lease receivable and sales revenue will be equal, and cost of goods sold and inventory will be equal. So this is like the one case where you don't have the symmetry, and you have to do that calculation. Now let's compare the two side by side. So what do we have going on? Lease receivable and inventory are the same. Cost of goods sold and sales revenue are different. However, the difference between this and that is the same. So gross profit is 57,000. Whoops, got it backwards. I want to start with revenue. Where can I put this? I'm going to put it down here. I'll scrunch it in. 62,548 less 57,000 is something. SREV, COGS, gross pie for profit. Okay, and 60064 54516. What's going on? I'm running out of margin, I think. My pen doesn't like it. 62548 57,000 minus, oops, 57. You didn't see me make the mistake, but I made one. 62548 57,000 minus 5548. Where are you? 5548. And these should be the same. So gross profit doesn't change between guaranteed and unguaranteed residual value. Now, after that, here's the big comparison. I'm going to show you all this. It's ridiculous. I should just tell you. After that, it's all the same. So the lease receivable is the same. So the amortization and the cash payments are the same. So and the reason the cash payments are the same is guaranteed or not guaranteed, they expected to get 4,000 back. When it's guaranteed, you're more confident because not only do you have your estimate, but you also have the credit worthiness of the lessee who has promised you to pay. If it's worth 0, they'll pay you 4,000. Okay, and if it's worth less than 4,000, they'll make up the difference. In practice, what would happen is when they guarantee the residual value, you'd give them a lower interest rate, and then the payment would change. But just to simplify things here, we're saying, okay, the residual value is coming back, and we keep the implicit rate the same. So the payment's the same. So everything is, in fact, the same. The only reason in practice they would be different is you would give the lower interest rate to a customer that would accept, would promise or guarantee the residual value to you. All right, so everything is the same when the payments and the lease receivable are the same, even if the sale part of the entry is different. Okay, and here, what's different is, okay, So we expected 4,000 and it's only worth 3,000. So here is a difference at the closing entry, but the maturity entry, but the along the ways are the same. So you get back your inventory at fair value. You record it at fair value. So it's just like you bought it. You write it back on your book at fair value. 3,000, 3,000, same. Now, in your amortization schedule, you had 4,000, 4,000. So let's go see that. So in your amortization schedule, there's a 4,000, and I lit it up from a prior lecture. So it's in your timeline in the column with payment plus guaranteed residual value. So it's counted just like it was a cash flow, and it is going towards the lease receivable. Okay. In the guarantee case, guess what? This is cash from lessee. You told lessee, hey, it's worth 3,000. You owe us 1,000. They pays you 1,000. Okay. Here, no cash from lessee, so it goes to loss. So you do have a different account. Okay. So this is just a quick comparison of guaranteed versus unguaranteed residual value. The sales revenue and cost of goods sold were different at the beginning. So these were different at the beginning. Where are you? Different at the beginning. Then you had your amortization of lease receivable and your interest were the same along the life of the lease. And then at the end, if this is only, where are you, highlighter? This is only true if it's below 3,000. If it's 4,000 or greater, then you just would have had inventory. So let me get my pen back. If greater equal to 4K, then you just have inventory and lease receivable 4,000, 4,000, and there's no loss, there's no cash, and then they would look identical. So they just look different at the end when the guarantee comes into play, which is whenever it's below the expected residual value. So that is it for sales type leases in this lecture note. And the only remaining video will be on operating leases.